Coming up, we're talking about the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal Orlando Resort and whether or not there's anything that could be done to the lands there to make them better than they currently are. Yeah, we're talking about that on this week's episode of the DIS Unplugged Universal Edition. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the DIS Unplugged Universal Edition. I'm your host, Craig Williams, and today I'm joined alongside by my co-host, Ryno. Hey, Ryno. Aloha.
Well, aloha mora, Craig.
You know what? That could not have gone more terribly. And we even had a second chance
at it. I hope
it.
people's skins are crawling right now with how awkward that made them feel.
Yeah, I know it's working for me. I feel very uncomfortable by it, and I'm sure there will be some other great puns as we go along this episode here today, where we are talking about the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal Orlando Resort. This is going to be more of an open discussion about the lands. You know, we've gone over what's included in them many times before, and it just more or less kind of an update as of we're in 2022 right now. You know, definitely there's still some staying power in terms of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. There are always fans coming to actually walk through these lands for the first time that they never have before and still have a love for the books and movies and such. But in terms of the actual lands themselves, are they perfect where they are right now? Does something need to change with them? Do they need additions? Does it even need to be part of Epic Universe when that opens up? We're going to kind of go over things like that. But before we do, I want to remind you this is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. If you like our content and you want to support us, please consider booking a vacation through Dreams Unlimited Travel. It costs you no extra money and you get the support of a Dreams Unlimited Travel agent. So head over to dreamsunlimitedtravel.com today for a free, no obligation quote. Now, Ryno, where do you currently stand on the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in terms of the theme parks? I know you, me, many people have thoughts on how the Wizarding World in general has been handled and some of the issues surrounding it as of recent years. But in terms of just the theme parks, how do you feel about them?
I like to look at it, and I know we're at a crossroads right now, and it's one of those things where you got to think to yourself, like, is there some way we can pull it out of this person's hands and maybe feel better about, you know, it being a part of it? In terms of just strictly talking about what we have so far in the theme parks, of what's been built, is I still think that Diagon Alley inside of Universal Studios Florida is the benchmark that all theme park lands should sort of be measured by in terms of like immersion and theming and things like that. And I will say too, in terms of merchandise, I do still think that Universal as a whole, in terms of the Harry Potter stuff, has continued to knock it out of the park, and it has not let it get stagnant whatsoever.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that on the merch front. I mean, it's not even just that they've knocked it out of the park since day one on the merch for the Wizarding World. They've continually added to the collection as the years have gone on. And, you know, I felt like I got to the point where I'm done buying stuff, and I still haven't really bought anything, but I look at some of the stuff now and I'm like, hey, you know what? It's classy. That's a lie. I did get a backpack over Christmas just because when Ryno and I are in the theme parks, we want to have a themed backpack that goes along with it. And I have so many Disney ones, but I don't have anything Universal related. And so finally they released a proper backpack, and it was like, okay, that works for me. That works for me a lot. So, and, you know, I have obviously a decent background with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, that I started working at Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey inside Hogwarts Castle back in 2011. And I was there a couple of years. And then from there, I went on to work at Dragon Challenge for years and years and years. And now, of course, that's no more because Hagrid's Magical Creatures motorbike adventure got placed in its way. But, I'm trying with this conversation in particular, I'm going to try to not let that sway me in terms of, the background of how I feel about it, because when we talk about the best rides at Universal Orlando Resort, it ultimately, even as things shift around, I'm almost always going to put Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey as my number one attraction. And then sometimes, I'm like, Spider-Man can come very close. And right now I'm still loving Velocicoaster. And it's like things can get close, but I always go back there. And I'm going to try not to let my past try to like sway how I feel about this, because I think, as much as I think Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley are both really fantastic lands, I think there's little things that could be done to adjust them for sure. And, like immediate changes. I think Diagon Alley's close to being perfect, but at the end of the day too,
it's just one attraction.
Thank you very much. You pulled the words right out of my mouth, Ryno.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately the problem there, is that, the realization of it for me was when we did that party. I feel like I had just started with the DIS, so it would have been like 2016 or maybe even 2017 or something like that. But we had done rented it out, and it was like, oh, there was butterbeer, ice cream, all these things, and they were like, oh, you can ride the attraction over and over again, and I was like, oh yeah, just like one attraction back here, isn't there? So like when you remove kind of the entertainment, like, don't get me wrong, I do love Celestina and the War. I surprisingly enjoy that. I don't usually like that type of like streetmosphere entertainment in the parks that much, to be honest, especially at Universal. But like that show was great, but it's just like, if it had one more attraction, I think it would tip it over and just be like, it's unmatched.
Yeah. And I completely agree with you on that. It is the lack of another attraction in there. And I understand why they necessarily didn't put one in, because you do have Celestina Warbeck and the Banshees, and then you have also the puppet show that plays out inside Diagon Alley as well too. So you have two spectacular shows. On top of that, you do have, technically, you have Ollivander's, the original Ollivander's location, not the original at Universal, but if we're going by the books and movies, if you want to go to one Ollivander's, don't go to the one that's in Hogsmeade that shouldn't be there. You go to the one in Diagon Alley, and that is a great experience. And I love doing it. And I love doing it when I'm with someone who has never done it before. But in terms of repeat value, you can only go in there and watch it so many times. And then, like if you get chosen in Ollivander's, you don't have to buy the wand, but then you feel pressured kind of to buy the wand as well too.
How could you not? Yeah, how could you not? It picked you.
It's tough. It's tough. So those are, really, when you break it down, you have the two forms of entertainment. You do, if you get one of the enhanced wands that you can go around and practice your spells around both of the lands, you have that as extra entertainment too. But you have Ollivander's and you have Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. And I love Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts, but
Escape.
I just need to call it Gringotts. I love Gringotts. But that being said, it's of the three marquee Wizarding World attractions that we have currently at this moment. There is no doubt that is the weakest of the three. And I defended it for a long time because I do think it's very unique. It's a roller coaster, but also a motion simulator of sorts at the same time. And there are some epic moments like the first drop and basically any time that Bellatrix Lestrange is on screen. It's a good moment, and it builds in with the music, but it's just, if you stripped away the Wizarding World from it and put a different property there, it would be like, yeah, this was okay.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you. Also, I think it's kind of crazy to think like they have three attractions in the other area, and I understand it's not quite as like enclosed in terms of theming, but like there's Flight of the Hippogriff, there's the motorbike creatures, there's the Forbidden Journey, but then they also have the shows because they have the Frog Choir, and then they have the I forget what the other one's called, but the two schools come out.
Yeah, you have the Tri-Wizard Spirit Rally.
And so like they still have entertainment there, and you can do the wand over there, and they have the restaurant and all that stuff. So it is like, even though I think like architecturally and everything, it's just something about how they built this. I don't know. Diagon Alley is still like, it's all the workings that they made that are all around you, and it's like, I wish I could smush these two things together. And I mean, I guess technically if you're taking the train back and forth, you are encapsulated in this one area too. So I shouldn't undermine the train as part of it either. But it's like, if they were to build a third one in Epic Universe, it won't feel quite as connected to these two. And then I don't really know what you do, especially if you're doing Fantastic Beast, which is a fantastic beach. What you're doing, if it's a globe traveling thing, there's not really marquee things, at least so far. And I've only seen the first two movies, so there's not really a marquee thing that isn't Hogwarts,
Exactly. And that's one of the many downsides of the Fantastic Beasts movies and everything else with it, is that there's nothing iconic. There was the one moment that it was in the streets where wasn't there like a water fountain. I have not I watched both of them.
That building they were in the second movie? Aren't they like in a building? They're like going through. Weren't they trying to like rob a building? Right? Like they were trying to steal something from the bank or something.
No,
am I making that up?
Absolutely no recollection. I have watched both of them. I don't even know if I saw the first one in theaters. I might have watched it at home. I don't know. You and I went to see it in theaters, didn't we? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. But I definitely saw that one in theaters. I saw the second one like twice in theaters. I just haven't watched it since I've owned it at home. Because
we saw the second one in theaters together.
We did. Because that's how I saw it twice. I saw it with you.
Yeah. So I saw the first one. It might have been it. No, I saw the first one in theaters, bought it at home saying, okay, well, my wife hasn't watched it. She didn't go to the theater with me. So we'll watch it at home. Never watched it. Second one came out. You and I went to see it in theaters. And then I was like, well, buy the second one too. So that way she can see it. So that way when the next one comes out, she'll be able to watch it. Still have not watched it at all. So I've seen both of them in theaters the first time that I saw them. And that is the end that I can remember of them. Obviously I remember the big twists with like at the end of the first one with the character reveal change and then how that all shifted around in the second movie. But plot wise, I don't remember. There was no imagery from them like something like Hogwarts where you see it for the first time on screen and say, I want to go there and I want to walk inside that castle and see what's inside. Or Diagon Alley of, oh my gosh, they built this real world that wizards are living in. And like, it was nothing of that for Fantastic Beasts. So yeah, it's hard for me to get excited about extending that the wizarding world. Yeah.
It's also the in the news right now is the franchise is potentially in limbo, that they're saying they might not even finish the fourth and fifth one if this one doesn't do well enough. And so that's kind of crazy to me that now it could have a land based on a series of movies that don't even going to get finished, which is a completionist I would really hate. But, I guess, it's a in some game and stuff like that. But I still think there's iconic things from the original movies that they could still be pulling from, because I think about like, I don't know how you incorporate it in, but like the Ministry of Magic is always one that's always floated around because that's like a big grand building. But I'm like, I don't know what you're doing in there. Yeah. And then Burrow, is that what they call the Weasleys' house? Like their house,
Mm-hmm. Yep, those were the two biggest ones that were rumored for the longest time. Always those ones were to be plopped right beside Diagon Alley, just because there's not really, with those locations, like you wouldn't want to make that a full land just with only those.
In the middle of, because one's in the middle of London still. So even then you'd be like, why is that not over in Universal Studios Florida? But you're right. Like the house, you'd be like, what would you be doing? I don't know what you would even be doing in there. Yeah. But
no, I would, if they were to add a new attraction, I still would stand with it that I would be okay with it in Universal Studios Florida as an addition to the land that's currently there. In terms of Diagon Alley, I don't know how they would add a new attraction to that area, because I feel like in terms of what Diagon Alley has to offer in the movies and such, because that's what they're using as the main basis for it, I feel like they kind of tapped it clean. Like, it's what else do you do?
The only thing I could think about potentially somewhere trying to squeeze in there somehow might be somewhere where you'd buy brooms, and then it would be a flying attraction where you would ride a broom somewhere. Because I know that was the big rumor for a long time, was there was copyright and trademarking for like a broom related attraction, or even if it was like an ET type dark ride where you literally just got on, like you're getting on a bike on ET, the same idea, but it was a broom and it just kind of brought you through. That's the only thing, because all I can think is that's how they would fit it in shop. Like, it would be, the facade would be the shop and you'd go into the shop, but other than that, I am with you. Like, I wouldn't want to crack into the beauty of the thing they've already created, I guess. So I would have liked, what I would like? I don't know where I'd put it, but those conversations about how we'd make it better. I think a sit-down dining experience, maybe.
We will get to that in 1 second, because that was the next place that I was going to go. The only thing I'll say too with like the broom experience is, like, obviously one of the rumors was with Fear Factor Live, going away and using that space. The big rumor was that they were going to add the VR experiences there. And I have been so behind in my life that I have not caught up on a lot of the rumors with it. But I do believe that our friend Alicia, who runs Park Stop, did post at one point that those plans are now, also in limbo, much like the Fantastic Beasts movies. I might be wrong about that, but I also can't do a quick Google search here and didn't know that it was going to come up. So I didn't do the prep on that. But I think broom ideas are always something good to go back to. And I would love to see something like it in ET adventure style, more than I would like to see it from a VR style, because I don't care about VR. I have a VR system at home. I know there are so many people who believe it is truly the future and the metaverse is where it's going. I am a physical person. I don't want to be in that kind of reality, and I just don't understand how there's anyone in the future, like how anyone would just be like, yeah, you know what? The world sucks so much that it is better to be there. I mean, if the world gets to that point, then maybe that's the way to go. But, I feel like we need stacking crates like Ready Player One before I could give up on the physical things we have around us and dive into a VR world. But I would always be up for a broom thing. But back to the restaurant, I think the sit-down dining restaurant is the biggest miss right now in terms of the Wizarding World, and I'll tell you where they need to do it. I know you're on the edge of your seat, Ryan.
I was waiting. I was just in suspense here.
I think it is time to officially close off Three Broomsticks for its current service that it's been on, and officially convert that into an actual sit-down restaurant.
So you're saying take three, but still keep it be Three Broomsticks, but just make it like a sit-down dining, like a full-fledged,
a true restaurant with serving staff, and they probably have to make the kitchen much more impressive than just having it set up as kind of like a line kitchen for quick service meals, and it would require a lot. But I think Leaky Cauldron, you can't change Leaky Cauldron, and just because it works so well with their food as quick service. I mean, Leaky Cauldron's just better than Three Broomsticks. I will battle that out day and night. But apparently Three Broomsticks does have a couple of vegan menu items that I think I saw that were relatively new. So we might have to get over there and try that at some point for you. But I think Leaky Cauldron is still fine as what it is. I think that restaurant still works, but Three Broomsticks, the menu hasn't shifted enough. I would rather see them, really utilize the space that they have there, plan out tables really well, and make it a true Three Broomsticks is your restaurant, your sit-in table service restaurant experience, and then right beside it, you still do have Hogshead, where you still can have like a bar and lounge. and try to handle it like that. Granted, the land is still so busy that it's very hard to make a shift like that, and you can get more people through as quick service. But in terms of the Wizarding World, I also think about, like, in terms of dining locations, you need to make something that is in the movies and makes sense, and in the books that makes sense. And I'm running out of answers for it unless they created like a new story where it's like, oh, after everything happened with the Battle of Hogwarts, you know, the Weasleys decided we're getting out of this great game and we're opening up a restaurant where everyone can come to our burrow and we'll serve you food and fare like that. I don't see something like that ever happening, ever making it past the creator who must not be named and such. And I don't ever see that happening. So like the only other thing I really could dwell on in terms of a full table service restaurant is doing like a Great Hall style. But even then, that makes no sense. Why are a bunch of muggles sitting down to have meals at the Great Hall when that's where students are eating?
It's one of those things where I'm always like, I know people have floated the idea for forever, but a hotel I think would have been interesting. That just like aesthetically, like make it kind of similar. I mean, nicer, I guess, than the one that Harry was in the third movie in Prisoner of Azkaban. But like, you know, like I'm not saying create something like the Galactic Star Cruiser or anything like that, where it's like immersive like that. But that's where I always thought like, oh, well, they'd probably have a pretty great restaurant in there because that would kind of maybe make sense. But you're right. Like, I don't know how you like pull a restaurant out and put it somewhere new. I also haven't read the books. Like, I never reread the books. I only read them the one time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've read them all and I read the play and stuff, but like so I'm like, I don't know off the top of my head if they ever stop and go somewhere else or whatever. Like, what bar did Dumbledore's brother work at? Was it the Hogshead?
That was no. Well,
it's in Hogsmeade, I think, or maybe it's not, and I'm just misremembering it. I for some reason always thought it was right outside of the school.
I'm blanking on it too, to be quite honest with you, but that all still considered. I think you have a perfectly fine space, a very large space with 3 broomsticks that could definitely be changed up.
He worked at the Hogshead Inn.
Okay, there we go. So I just, for me, I think that's the natural transition is say, hey, we are going to turn this restaurant, this quick service restaurant, into a full service restaurant. And it completely changes the game. It literally adds something new without taking away any space, requiring like, you know, a lot of complications. But it's a way now, like, you know, quick service at 3 broomsticks. You did it once, did it twice before. Maybe you won't go back, but you bet people are fighting to get one of the hardest reservations at 3 broomsticks if they want to eat there. I mean, that's
there's only one sit down restaurant in Islands of Adventure, isn't there?
You have 2. You have Confisco and you have Mythos. And at Universal Studios, you have Finnegan's as well as Lombard's. So each park needs more sit-down dining. I know that's what City Walk's for, but it's still...
No, I think you need one. Yeah, because sometimes it's just what parents need or something like that. Need something where they can take a break, but the kids are eating. And so, I don't know, you know. Yeah.
But so that was like 2 of the biggest things that I thought about with this when I posed this question. I think they need a table service restaurant at one of the 2 parks for the Wizarding World. I think for sure that Islands could use it a little bit more than Universal Studios Florida because again, Leaky Cauldron's delicious. Delicious. It is very delicious. And then after I'm done with my food at Leaky Cauldron, let's say I didn't get dessert there, I'm going up the way to Florian Fortescue's and I'm getting ice cream anyways, so I don't need dessert. But over in Hogsmeade, you literally have the restaurant, you have butterbeer carts, the Magic Leap, you can get some fruit, you can go into Honeydukes and get candy, but that's it. That's where the extent ends. So that makes just more sense to me to have table service. And
yeah. Because in studios you can do like the potato jackets outside. You can do the whatever the things are at that butterbeer wall, where you can get the I don't know, the pastries or whatever they are. And then but then also there's the other like brewery thing you go into, not a brewery, pub, but and like you said, so it feels like it's a little more all spread out there. Yeah. So it's like a couple more options, so you're not all stuck in like one line or something like that. And so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that they need more food on that side. That's why. But that side could use an extra attraction. So
yeah, that side could use an
take
attraction.
Over the Fear Factor area.
Yeah, well, something will happen there probably eventually, but that side could use Universal Studios Florida could use a new attraction with the Wizarding World. Our island side could definitely use a table service restaurant. And the last thing I really think, I truly believe that the island side, it's time to freshen up the entertainment there. We did mention the Tri-Wizard Spirit Rally and the Frog Choir. I just don't like them. I've never been a fan of either show, and I just think that they've they're now stale at that point. And with those shows in particular, I don't there is definitely an artistry to both of them, because it is any a cappella singing is, it's definitely, you have to be a good singer to do it, and you have to have a great ear. And for the Tri-Wizard Spirit Rally, they have to be good dancers, they have to be good acrobats. So it definitely it requires talent, and I'm not trying to strip them away from the talent. I don't think it's as impressive. The Frog Choir, none of those singers blow you away like Celestina is set up to do. She is the diva of the Wizarding World and is there to literally show you this is the difference between a student choir and a certified rock star of the Wizarding World. And with the Tri-Wizard Spirit Rally, yeah, I think dancing and acrobatics are really beautiful when they're done perfectly, but the watching the tale of the three brothers being played out by these super impressive puppets it just blows my mind way more than that. So I think it's one of those things that we're over 10 years old with the Islands of Adventure Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So I think it's time to freshen that up just a little bit. What I would do with it beats the crap out of me. I don't know what I would put on that stage. But if you're going to offer it, I feel like offer something that you're even more proud of. Maybe I don't want to be too harsh on that, but I feel like there's something better that could be done in that area.
I'd like to see them at this point, they could do what? Remember, wasn't there supposed to be way back in the day? They had said there was going to be wand dueling or something like that, and I feel like we're at the point now where I'm pump a couple little pyro things in the wall there, whatever. I'd like to see something like that. Maybe something a little more, I don't know, dude. I think it's time to update the technology that we're using out there. It's like what you said. I mean, the story of the three brothers in the other area uses those incredible puppets. And I just think I'd like something I like the frogs and when they sing and stuff like that, but it does feel, I would argue the dancing, the two schools coming out feels very dated at this point, because that's 8 movies ago, or not 8 movies ago, but well, I guess it actually, yeah, I think it is actually. It was 4. It was 5, 6, 7. No, 6 movies ago. Nope, 7 movies ago, because there's now been 3 of the Fantastic Beasts and 4 of the other ones since that. So yeah, so that's why I'm I just want to see, just like you said, just a little freshen it up, give us some little more technological innovation out there. That's all. Because we have Blue right next door with a raptor meet and greet, and how cool is that? So I'd like something on that level over here. Maybe Hagrid. Well, I guess we don't meet any of the characters, but maybe somebody could bring out some cool creatures or something like that.
Well,
I don't know.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I have thought about before too, is because, right up around the way you have Flight of the Hippogriff, and you're kind of on Hagrid's right by his hut and on his grounds. So yeah, if you bring out some of the different creatures and kind of do a showcase of them, and I feel like something cool could be done like that. But I think we're right on the right path there. Something could be changed. And that's the last thing I kind of want to bring up about Diagon Alley on that side. And if you have anything else, feel free to keep talking. But for Diagon Alley, I think in terms of Hogsmeade, it does have a great experience from start to finish. If you really look at it as, okay, you rode the Hogwarts Express to get over there, maybe you eat at Three Broomsticks, maybe not, but browse the shops, do Hagrid's Magical Creatures motorbike adventure, do Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, Flight of the Hippogriff, stay until the end of the night, and if there's a castle show, then watch that show and be immersed in that. But over on the Diagon Alley side, again, where it just feels a little lackluster, like, I'm not suggesting that they add a nighttime show inside Diagon Alley to help out with that, but one thing they absolutely could do, and if they really wanted to take a swing at Disney, is one of the biggest things that people complain about at Disney is how much actual, like, streetmosphere and acting entertainment is through the parks. If Universal really wanted to step it up and get some notice, they need to add characters who belong in the Wizarding World into Diagon Alley. Not necessarily during the entire day, but maybe for a couple hours at night. And I'm not talking about characters from the movies, just random characters. And the reason I know it will work is because on the grand opening party that I was fortunate enough to be able to attend through this job, they had them all throughout the Wizarding World of Diagon Alley, Wizarding World of Harry Potter Diagon Alley. They were just everywhere, and they were buying into it. And like, oh, do you think we should go back to Ollivanders? This wand has been giving me issues. And like, it was all, they were just in their zone, and they would talk to you if you talked to them, but they were doing their thing, and they just added to the atmosphere of the entire event. You put that in, it just, it's one of those things. People they would develop cult followings, just like what is one of what people consider the better parts of Galactic Star Cruiser is, what follow those characters around and watch what they do, because they do immerse you into that world. Characters like that could immerse you into Diagon Alley in that area. And, you go down Nocturne Alley, and maybe there's I'm not necessarily saying Death Eaters, but maybe a little bit darker wizards that are down there who could potentially be Death Eaters. And I feel like something like that would give life to a part of that park that is supposed to be like a thriving Wizarding World city. So why not go for it?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's I think you need some more people that are just, even if they're just walking around and being all mysterious and whatever. I just think, or like, it could be somebody as simple as, like, if you said in the Hagrid area, somebody who's just literally like, oh, with chains, being like, have you seen a dragon or something, something weird. So I just think that's I think it would put it over a little bit, Yeah.
I think we made the point, though, that while these are the marquee sections of the Universal parks right now, I mean, maybe it'll be with Epic Universe too, as long as it's a part of it. But in terms of Universal Studios Florida, there is no doubt that Diagon Alley is the pinnacle of immersive entertainment in that park. And with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Hogsmeade, and Islands of Adventure, Jurassic Park can give it a run for its money, and there are definitely beautiful lands. Maybe you think that the Marvel Superhero Island with the Hulk and Spider-Man and Doctor Doom's Fearfall Drop, that maybe those have better attractions in them, but even then, I still think that Wizarding World still kind of takes the cake, and Islands of Adventure too, with everything it has to offer. I mean, just for Hagrid's and Forbidden Journey alone, just with those, like, that's a huge selling point. But there's definitely things that even in the best of what Universal has to offer, there's still things that I think they could do to take it to the next level. And if that will ever happen, we don't know. Because who knows what the future will be with Universal and the Wizarding World. It could be a series that they don't want to invest in, but I mean, considering how much money it makes them, just Butterbeer alone, how much it makes them, I can't imagine that they're ever going to want to get out of the Wizarding World game anytime soon. But I will say, I don't think we need a hotel, and I don't think that will ever happen. And I've stated it many times why it won't happen. There's just she who must not be named. There is so much that she would want control over that would not be possible to be able to do it. And I think we'll just have to kind of settle with, Airbnbs around theme park areas for people who develop rooms that feel like they would be in the Wizarding World. That's the best we're going to get, because I will always say it. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I would love to bite my tongue one day and eat my words, but I just don't see that happening.
Well, considering that Universal really does everything in conjunction with Lowe's, it really feels like it would be a Lowe's decision more than anybody else. So it kind of complicates the matter, I feel like. But
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's a two-step. We have to get the creator on board, we have to get Lowe's on board, and then we have to get on board and then figure out all the details of how many rooms should we have. We want to, if you want something that's closer to Star Cruiser, obviously it has to be more boutique, but you can't also be like, we want to limit it so much because it's Wizarding World. People want so much of it. So I don't know. I don't even know if there's a happy medium. There might just be too much at play to even ever make an idea like that work.
I don't foresee Universal having going into that game, really, honestly. But
absolutely. Who knows? We'll have to see. We'll have to see if the latest movie of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter franchise. What did they just call it? Wizarding World, right? I always mix it.
No, it's called. The new series is called Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, but it's part when you see the key art on stuff. It's Wizarding World.
Yeah, when the wands do the thing, it says Wizarding World. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our Wizarding World cinematic universe. They need to just make it easy and be so. Oh, did you just throw up?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, boss. Yeah. So we'll have to see the future of all of it. We'll have to wait and hear what's all in store for Epic Universe, but it'll always be interesting to see how it all plays off. So, Ryno, this was a really dumb but fun conversation, and I'm glad that I got to have it with you.
Yes, me too.
Well, remember,
really enthusiastic.
Hey,
sorry.
I just want to let you know, remember that aloha means both hello and goodbye.
So hello and goodbye, Mora.
Oh, there you go. I feel like you nailed the landing on that one. But yes, thank you, Ryno. Thank you to everyone out there for taking the time to listen and watch this. If you enjoyed it and you want to support us more, again, you could always book a trip through Dreams Unlimited Travel. Get a free no obligation quote today at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave comments, questions, and video suggestions in the comments section. And if you're listening to this, make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if it's through a service that allows you to leave ratings and reviews, please do that as well too. That would really help us. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of the DIS Unplugged Universal Edition. We'll see you again real soon with another episode. Take care, bye-bye, and remember, we still haven't changed the name.